The year is 1889. The place is Paris. This is not the Paris of postcards. Not yet. This is a city on the edge of a new century. A city of gaslight, shadows, horse-drawn carriages clatter over cobblestones. Their wheels echo through narrow streets. The air is thick with the scent of coal smoke and rain. Above it all, a new marvel pierces the sky. The Eiffel Tower. A monument to progress, a beacon for the millions flocking to the Exposition Universelle, the World's Fair, a grand spectacle of invention and ambition. But beneath the electric glow and champagne toasts, the old city remains, a labyrinth of secrets. People came from everywhere. They arrived by steamship, by rail. The hotels were overflowing, lobbies buzzed with a dozen languages. Bellboys rushed through corridors lit by flickering gas lamps, the registration books filled with names from across the globe. But for one mother and her daughter, checking into a grand hotel, the promise of Paris would curdle into a nightmare. They were just two of the millions. Then, one of them was gone. This is a cold case, one of the coldest on record. The file was never officially closed, it just gathered dust. The ink on the police reports faded. What remains is a puzzle with missing pieces, a daughter's desperate search, a mother's strange silence, a hotel that seemed determined to erase a memory, a hotel that insisted a guest never existed. We are here to reopen that file. We will proceed with caution, step by careful step. We will step into the gaslit hotel lobby. We will walk the patterned corridors. We will try to understand how a person in a city of millions could simply check in and then vanish from the face of the earth, as if she had never been there at all. It was late afternoon when their carriage arrived. A steady spring rain was falling over Paris. A doorman in a heavy wool coat rushed out with an umbrella. He opened the carriage door. First, a young woman stepped out. Then, she turned to help her mother. The older woman moved slowly. She leaned heavily on her daughter's arm. Her face was pale beneath her bonnet. They entered the lobby. It was a cavern of polished wood, velvet upholstery, gleaming brass. The daughter guided her mother to a settee near the fireplace. The daughter approached the front desk, alone. The clerk, a man with a waxed mustache, pushed the large, leather-bound registration book towards her. She signed for them both. Mrs. Armstrong, Miss Armstrong, from London. She requested a room with 2 beds. A quiet room, room 342. A porter was summoned. The transaction was brief, unremarkable. The clerk would later claim he had no memory of the 2 women. The lift ascended with a gentle hiss and a slight shudder. They exited on the 3rd floor. The corridor was long and quiet. The porter stopped before a dark wood door. The room was spacious and cold. A soft yellow glow pushed back the shadows. It revealed heavy mahogany furnishings, 2 beds, each with a thick down comforter. The mother went directly to the nearest bed. She did not remove her coat or hat. She simply lay down. The daughter thanked the porter, pressing a coin into his hand. Alone now, the daughter turned to her mother. The mother's skin was hot to the touch. A fever was clearly taking hold. She murmured something, a complaint about a headache. The daughter felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. This was more than travel fatigue. For a moment she felt a profound sense of isolation. She made a decision. She could not handle this alone. She needed a doctor, urgently. The hotel manager himself answered the summons. The daughter explained the situation quickly. Her mother was very ill. An hour later, there was a soft knock at the door. The doctor had arrived. The hotel manager accompanied him. This was unusual. The doctor approached the bed. He began his examination by candlelight. The diagnosis was delivered in a low voice. The daughter caught only a few words that made her blood run cold. Cholera, or something like it. The doctor turned to her, his expression grim. She required a special prescription that could only be procured from a specific apothecary across the city. The manager stepped forward. He offered the hotel's own carriage. The doctor assured her that he would remain with her mother. She hurried out of the room, leaving her mother in the care of the two strangers. The hotel carriage was indeed waiting. The daughter climbed inside. The carriage lurched forward. The journey was a blur of gaslit boulevards. The carriage seemed to be moving so slowly. The apothecary was in a distant, unfamiliar quarter of Paris. An old man with spectacles perched on his nose took the prescription. The wait felt eternal. Finally, the apothecary returned with a small corked bottle filled with a dark liquid. She rushed back out into the night. She had the medicine. The return journey was even more agonizing. The carriage driver seemed to take a different route. Was he lost, or was he deliberately taking his time? Finally, the familiar facade of the Grand Hotel came into view. It had taken nearly 3 hours, an eternity. She ran down the third-floor corridor. She reached room 342. She knocked softly. There was no reply. She knocked again, louder this time. Still silence. She tried the handle. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open and stepped inside, calling out for her mother. The room was empty, and it was not the same. The room was sterile, anonymous, as if no one had been there at all. Then, the impossible detail, the wallpaper, it was a different pattern. She must have made a mistake. Wrong door. She backed out. The door number, brass, polished, clearly read 342. Confused and terrified, she ran back down the corridor. She approached the front desk. "My mother, Mrs. Armstrong, room 342. He ran a finger down the page. He looked up. "There is no Mrs. Armstrong registered at this hotel. Room 342 is occupied by a German gentleman. He checked in this evening." The daughter stared, uncomprehending. "No," she insisted. "That's not possible." The clerk's expression flickered. "We have no Dr. Leclerc on call. The manager retired for the evening hours ago." Faced with a scene, the night manager was summoned. It was a threat disguised as assistance. Let the police deal with the hysterical woman. 2 police officers arrived. They listened to her story. The daughter repeated every detail. The police conducted a cursory investigation. They knocked on the door of room 342. A sleepy German businessman answered. He was alone. The police were satisfied. There was nothing here. They suggested she get some rest. They recommended she visit the British consulate in the morning. The next morning she began her own search, searching for a familiar face. She saw none of them. She contacted the British consulate. An official listened with sympathy. He was powerless. Her investigation hit the same wall again and again. A wall of silence. Staff she confronted suddenly spoke no English. They had seen nothing. She tried to find the apothecary. The winding streets blurred. It was easier to call her mad than face the alternative, that a woman had been stolen from the heart of the modern world. The first and most enduring theory is born of the era's greatest fear, contagious disease. The word the daughter thought she heard, cholera, was a death sentence. A single case of plague or cholera in a premier hotel during the height of the World's Fair would be catastrophic. The elaborate errand for medicine was a ruse. While the daughter was being driven across Paris, the mother died. They removed the body, taken out through a service entrance. Then came the most audacious part of the plan. The room itself was altered. They redecorated it. They changed the wallpaper. A second theory is darker still. The 2 women were not random victims of circumstance. They were targets. Perhaps the mother was secretly a spy, or she was wearing a piece of jewelry of immense value. The doctor was a master criminal, and the hotel staff were his paid accomplices. The mother was not dead, but kidnapped for ransom, or for what she knew. The hotel's complicity was key. There is a third possibility. The mother, Mrs. Armstrong, wanted to disappear. The mother was not the victim. She was the architect. While the daughter was on her wild goose chase, her mother simply got up, dressed, and walked out of the hotel. The hotel's involvement would have been minimal, but crucial. A simple bribe could explain it. It was far less risky than hiding a case of cholera. So we are left where we began. We have the daughter's unwavering testimony. She is the single, solitary voice crying out that something happened. Against her testimony stands a wall of official denial. A grand hotel insists she was never there. The wallpaper is the most haunting. Was it a hallucination born of stress, or the masterstroke of an elaborate cover-up? If you believe the daughter, you must accept a conspiracy. If you believe the hotel, you must accept that a young woman suffered a complete mental breakdown. The truth lies lost in the space between a daughter's memory and a hotel's silence. The story does not end. It simply stops. The daughter's search eventually faltered. The city moved on. We are left to contemplate the final lingering images of that night. The heavy velvet curtains, the small corked bottle of dark medicine, the polished brass number on a hotel room door. The case remains open, a question mark hanging over the glittering history of 1889 Paris. Who was lying, and where, in the City of Light, did Mrs. Armstrong go?